You're not broken. You're just too hidden. The healing you've been praying for that doesn't happen in isolation. I know why the isolation is safe, but it only is going to happen when you're seen. And today, we're going to do that together. Hi, my name is Steve Kidd. I'm a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 39 books and counting. I've worked with over 5,000 people, helping them write, publish, market their books to bestseller, and everything that goes beyond that. But for those of you that know me, you know what I really do is I'm your architect of visibility. I help you find that powerful clarity that leads to that visibility. Clarity is powerful. Clarity is the thing that you need. You can have a heart and soul to help and bless people. You don't need necessarily a coach for that. Now, some of you, you have heart conditions and I'm not talking about the, physical, medical one, but I'm talking about the emotional, spiritual one, okay? Some of you do have that, and you need to address those. And you are going to need a coach or a minister or a something that's going to help you with that, okay? But most of us, it isn't that we don't care. It isn't that we're not here to make an impact in the world. It's that we don't really understand exactly who we are and what we're meant to do. And what we want to do today is talk to you about how to do that. And I want to be really specific today, because each one of us, in our own different way, we have most definitely been hurt. We've got things that have more than definitely, in fact, totally broken us. I understand that. I see that. I know it's true. And I want to address that elephant in the room, as it were, because that pain does something to us. We've been talking about this all week, and we talked in great detail about, being in the chemo room and feeling like you're the only one who really has ever gone through that. And many of us have suffered from that. Many of us even still find ourselves defaulting to that because that's that reflexive response. Okay, and I totally get that. But our clarity can't happen in that dark. And we can't be the light and make the difference that we're meant to make in this world in the dark. Radical honesty isn't just so that you can speak up and say things. It isn't about being a tattletale. We used to have a phrase when I was a kid growing up, this is family stuff. And there's ditches on both sides of that road, and we won't go down that path. But there are things, when your best friend tells you something sacred, something very much private that they feel safe enough to share with you, that doesn't mean you should go and do a live about it tomorrow or later today, okay? There are things that are private. And there are things as you develop in life and as you go through this, there are things that you feel comfortable sharing. And there are things that you're not at a place where you are okay sharing that yet. And that's okay too. I want you to hear me say that. I'm going to say it again because I want you to know that is okay. My hair is being weird. It's just where my brain goes. Sorry. It's okay to be developmentally where you are. Absolutely, right there in this moment. And speak the truth that you can speak. And then to take that next step, to peer back into that darkness. You see, the way that we overcome that darkness is by putting light into it. And that's a progressive process. Okay, we bring the beacon of the light, the hope, the promise, the peace, the things that we can address. into the darknesses in our lives, where the mercy's always been there and helped us through it. And then, in addition to that, we allow it, because we took a step forward with that light, and we allow that light to shine back a little further into the dark recesses of who we are. And we can see that thing, and we can get comfortable enough to be able to share that next thing. So I'm not saying, you're going to let it all loose and go crazy with everything in the deepest, darkest pit of your life. And you'll probably never get to that point. The more you peel that onion, the more you discover how unlimited the layers are and how much more depth there is to that. And that's okay. I did a really amazing book with a young lady, an amazing, amazing young lady. And I call her a young lady, but I really honestly don't know how old she is, but she's younger than I am. And so therefore she's a young lady, right? Amazing, amazing woman who now works, I'm skipping all the way to the end of her story, now works as a registered nurse, I think it is, a nurse of some sort at the Mayo Clinic. Really, really amazingly powerful job. Her start out in life, she was in one of the war-torn African countries. And she was the oldest child. Therefore, when she was about 5 years old, she was out watching the sheep. I learned some cool things about this that I didn't really understand, at least in that type of a lifestyle. And that's that the sheep stay within distance of being able to come back to the main tent area and the main living space for the family every night. On the other hand, and so, here she is, 5 years old, out there with the sheep by herself. Next time you read about David watching the sheep, you'll have a totally different view of it. And she was out there watching the sheep. Then when she turned, all of like 8 years old, I think it was, maybe it was 10, but I want to say it was 8 years old. Then she graduated to watching the cows. Now, cows kind of travel around and graze in areas like that where, you've got to find the not only the watering holes for them, but more importantly, the place where there's enough grass for them to graze for that little bit of time. And that becomes nomadic. And very rarely is that cowgirl, in that particular case, like literally the definition of cowboy, if you will, that literally is a nomadic, alone lifestyle. And she was telling in her story, and she's put it in a book, so it's okay for me to share this. This is not me revealing somebody's secret. She was telling in her story that she would, when she went to bed at night, tie her legs together so that when, not if, but when the rape gangs came through her camp, because it was just her, little 8, 9-year-old girl, when they came through her camp, that at least they would wake her up before they started raping her. Harsh stuff. And she moved from there then to a refugee camp because of how war-torn the country was. And the rapes and all the abuses and stuff in the refugee camp were, according to her words, okay, and again, this is all in her book, were 100 times worse than what they were when she was out, tending the cows, out all by herself at that very, very young age. And when she turned 16, she was sponsored and able to come to the United States. She came to the United States with basically a pair of shoes that were essentially take a, one of those tires you see on the side of the road, that kind of a concept, some tread of a tire with some string wrapped around it to hold it onto your feet. That were her quote unquote shoes. And when she went for her first job, she was loaned a pair of shoes that did not fit her because those weren't going to be acceptable. And she wore a pair of shoes for many months, and the clothing that she wore and all of that didn't fit her. But she worked a job, finished high school, went to college, got her degree, and like you said, now she's working as a nurse at the Mayo Clinic. An amazing, amazing story. But she didn't just day one begin to tell that story. Even as we were talking through it, she was able to expose things. She had done a book previous to that and told some of the nomadic lifestyles of being a shepherd girl, and going that further and talking about the abuses and things like she had. That was another bringing of the light further in for her. And I've been honored to be a part of the journey with several people that have shared those kind of stories and helped them put it in book form, helped them create their signature talk for that. More importantly, find the clarity of what can this thing be used for. I need you to see that. I want you to hear this very clearly, because God didn't put you through things. I don't believe in that kind of a God. You just, no, I can't and I won't. God went through those things with you and other people's choices, the same grace, that we've all received, to be able to be, have the things that could be held against us be washed away, be forgiven, is also allowed to other people. And the problem with grace, the problem with free will, is what we really want. Let's just be brutally honest here. What we really want is for us to have total free will, free choice to be able to choose any crazy thing that comes across our mind, and for everybody else to have to conform to our free will. That's what we really want. That would make our life in our viewpoint perfect, and it would make everybody else slaves to us. But unfortunately, everyone else has that free will too. And that's what's created this messy middle that we all live in, because somebody didn't do the right thing. They did the wrong thing. That some of them even, and I know in your life, they did the things that were absolutely the worst, wrongest thing. I know, wrongest. That's the word for today. That's the made up word. Okay? And they did those things. And how do I say this gently? There really shouldn't be grace or forgiveness for them, but there is. Because the forgiveness comes to allow you to release you from the chain of that. What they do with their own life is something that they need to come to grips with. But we're talking about you. And we forgive, not even always because we want to, but because we need to. We need to release ourselves from that. And that's what forgiveness does. Now, I'm not here trying to teach you a sermon or preach at you or any of those kind of things. I'm purely here to help you understand that messy middle and see how that light slowly advances forward into the darkness. The mercy met you in the dark. You've been held by that mercy that met you in the dark, kept safe and whole, and you've been able to show up in the day called today because of that grace and mercy. But now the light that is your growth, that is your clarity, and is you then sharing it, because it does you no good. Clarity, you can be as absolutely 100% clear on who you are. And if you don't share it with anybody, what good does it do you or anyone else? You've gone through some things. And again, I wish I could save you from them. They've already happened. The past is what it is. I always tell people the problem that we have with history is we want to rewrite it and say who were the bad guys and who are the good guys, rather than just realizing history is history. It's not about our particular race, creed, color, religious preference, whatever. Our psychology is really what I heard one professor say one time. History just is what it is. The good, the bad, and the ugly, it happened, it is. Now, perspectives are going to be different. And that, is a whole different discussion. But the past is just what it is. The present, today, is that beautifully, miraculously wonderful thing that we have that we can spend, that can impact tomorrow. We can't live tomorrow yet. We can't do anything about tomorrow other than we can show up the best version of ourselves while it's called today. The best me that I am right now. Not the best me that I'm going to be tomorrow. Not the best me that I was 10 years ago. The best me right here, right now, today. With all the hurts, all the traumas, all the failures, all of the stuff, all of the pressures of today. All of the everything for today. That's why I'm always saying, sometimes the way that you show up as the best you is you take a day off. That's good too. Because that refreshing gives you the capability to be able to show up in that next moment, day, whatever in the future. That could be how you are the best you. But when it comes to this messy middle stuff, we have to come together. Because only in our sharing, only in our seeing the samenesses that we have between one another, and being able to see somebody else say something that we do identify with and be like, oh, I get that. I see that. I see it so clearly. Yes, intentional breaks are absolutely necessary. And then so is the sharing. We share and we listen to others sharing. That's why social media, in order for it to only really truly work, and I loved it because I've been shouting from the rooftops about this for decades. I've been in coaching programs where they talk about it too, and then Patricia was talking about it yesterday or the day before. Being on social media means that you need to interact both ways. You need to show a legitimate interest in the other people. So it isn't just about doing a live, going out here and spewing off for, 5 seconds, 5 hours, whatever, anything in between. It isn't just about doing a post every day or 20 posts a day or going Gary Vaynerchuk and being 60 to 100 posts a day. It's about that interaction. It's about going into somebody else's site, profile, page, group, and adding value to them for them, being legitimately interested in what's going on in their life. That's why the groups you're in are so important. Yeah, I want you to. Shameless plug. Go to visibilityamplifier.com and come join our group. I absolutely want you to be in it because I know you're amazing and powerful. And by us helping you get a little bit of clarity, you will make an impact massively in this world. So yeah, absolutely. No shame in my game. Totally. I want to see you there. Big time. And I want to see you have a group of your own. And I want to see you be in other people's groups and on their pages and having people. See, if you really want to be somebody's friend, go to their page, look at a post that they've done, and say something of value that promotes that post. Some of you got my book, How Can I Help You Today? Radical generosity starts by just simply doing something with no benefit for you. There may not necessarily, now I'm going to actually totally blow the lid off of this particular thing with what I'm teaching right here, but there doesn't have to be anything at all in it for you to go in and be supportive of somebody else on whatever social media you're on, or all of the ones you're on, whatever the case may be. And it doesn't have to be an enormous number, 5, maybe 10, total maybe 15 people. I mean, there's a process. If you were a full-time social media manager, and I'm talking like that's your job and you're getting paid by somebody to manage their social media, then the numbers we would be talking about would be in the hundreds. Okay, because we're talking about 40 hours worth of work. But I'm talking about you as a solopreneur or with a small company of people. You need to do this like 5 times a day, to 5 people a day, not 5 different times. And really, it's easiest to just do it all at once. Hop on to insert whatever or multiples, but we'll just say right now one social media, insert that social media here, and just add value to 5 people's posts. If you want the master's degree level of that, here's what you really do. Okay, you join a group. You want to know how to become an influencer. I'm teaching it to you right here, right now, if you're listening. Okay, and you'll be a real influencer. You won't be some, hot chick that, I saw somebody dissing. I know this is a little bit of a left turn to Albuquerque, but it totally expresses my point. I saw somebody dissing Pamela Anderson. Now, some of you like, some of you don't. It doesn't matter, okay? Pamela Anderson at 20, she was a little bit younger than 25, actually, when she was the first Tool Time girl on Tool Time. Tim the Tool Man Taylor on Home Improvement. That was actually her first main role, and then of course she got the job as the one of the main people on Baywatch. And they put a side-by-side picture of Pamela Anderson at 25-ish or whatever she was when she was on Baywatch, and now in her 50s. And they're like, oh my gosh, Pam Anderson's really let herself down, really let herself go. And I didn't post it because I really don't do a lot of intentional snarky posts. I mean, I do some snark on my own stuff, but I don't usually go to your stuff and snark your stuff. If I do, it's something that I'm hoping really lands as funny and not as me telling you you're stupid. Not saying that sometimes I don't think it, and I'm really just outing myself right here with this person's particular post. But what I wanted to say was, okay, number one, in the now picture, she's aged and she's grown and she's matured and she's had some life that's happened to her. B, she didn't pose for a full wardrobe and makeup, her hair done by a professional stylist, had a whole crew of people helping outfit her and make her look absolutely perfectly glamorous for the cover photo for a TV show they're promoting. You're showing a picture of her, no makeup on, her hair just kind of slicked back like we do. You can see a little bit the water in my hair that I put in my hair. Or if you go back at the beginning of this, you can see it even more. You saw me messing with my hair a little bit ago. That's real life. So how do we critique somebody because they continued aging? How do we critique somebody because they didn't spend 4 hours in a makeup chair at a professional Hollywood studio as the main starring role character on a movie theater or on a television show before they were allowed to be seen? They just, got up in the morning and got dressed, or, even didn't really think about it because maybe life isn't as uppity as it was. And I went a little deeper into that than I had intended to, because I want you to see the quote unquote influencers. And I've been seeing a lot of snarky posts lately about, influencer promotions and how ineffective they are. I think it probably has something to do with me having snarked about them on some of my lives here and that. So now I'm getting posts about it, in Facebook because, the overlords are listening to us. But, that person who is doing the thing, and unfortunately, there are a lot of things that you probably wouldn't do in front of your grandmother that people can do and get massive followings for themselves for a while. And that type of influencer, which is what we think of when we hear the word influencer, they can get a massive following for right now, but that's not going to last. Because I could promise you one thing, everything else aside, all the marketing chops that you've got, okay, you're going to get older. With all of his marketing brilliance, and whether you do or don't like the band Kiss, Gene Simmons is an absolute marketing expert. The reason why you've heard of the band Kiss isn't because they were the best band in the whole entire world. And now I know somebody's going to pop on and go, yes, Kiss was the best band in the whole entire world. Well, I hate to break it to you, but that was Gene Simmons' marketing unit. It had to do with marketing, and they understood merchandising. And you can get Kiss anything. You can get Kiss underwear, Kiss lunchboxes, Kiss toothpaste, Kiss, some of them don't exist as much now as they did. And over time, but here's what happened to every single member of the band Kiss. They all got older. Gene Simmons' kids are all grown adults in their, late 20s, early 30s now. Gene Simmons got to the place where he doesn't do as many public appearances. And you can go back even further. Kiss is a late 70s band. Go back to, say, the Rolling Stones, who do sometimes still travel and still do some tour gigs. It's amazing they're still alive. If you ever wanted to believe that somebody sold their soul for eternal life, they would be the first ones you might want to look at, right? Because they've partied hard and are still around. As I was walking through to come into the room, I was informed by my brother, who's, watching television, that Hulk Hogan died this morning. And many of you know that a couple of days ago, Ozzy Osbourne passed. See, that aging and that passing, that's inevitable. And if you're developing who you are and you're wanting to be visible, to be famous because of that, it's a fleeting, impossible to hold on to thing, because no matter what you do, no matter what formula, whomever, I think I saw Jane Seymour selling one the other day, as the spokesperson for some kind of face cream or whatever. No matter how many of those you take, you're still going to get older. You're still not going to look like you looked when you were 18. And that's okay. Because your real influence comes from your ability to use the simple phrase, how can I help you today? From being part of that messy middle and connecting with the people in the community and adding value to others. So yeah, you go on to 5 Friends, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, pick a social media, and you just see what they're posting, and you just simply add value. Now, I told you the other day, the like button does very little. You want to actually use the heart. That has more weight for it. And then you want to be that 1%er that actually makes an actual comment. And not a, oh, wow, this is a really great post, dude, comment, but something of value. I mean, I just, practicing what I preach, I just posted on somebody's thing just before I went live here. They were showing pictures of one of their children, they were going to like an orientation or something at college. And it's a newer friend of mine, so I'm not sure if the person was visiting and is going to be going to college there, or if they're a freshman and they're, already starting to look at those kind of things. Because, if you're on the football team, you're probably already either there or headed to your college campus, because practices have more than likely already started for quite a while now. It's the nature of it, And I said, somebody needs to put bricks on those kids' heads and stop letting them grow up. They need to stay small forever. And every one of us that's a parent, we understand that. And when a person's promoting something, and it's just a shameless promotion plug, I mean, if you've worked with them or if you know them or if you know what great stuff they do, put on there, yes, this person does amazing work. And if you were ever going to have somebody, every time somebody asks me about LinkedIn, I tell them Jamie Ellithorpe. If you want somebody to help you maximize your LinkedIn, Jamie's your go-to girl. Some of you that follow my both Facebook as well as Instagram reels, you see that I think it was 2 days ago now. I was actually, I mean, Willie actually put me out as one of the um, collaborators for his Instagram post, and I shared it both on my Instagram and my Facebook as well. Because Willie's in a competition right now. He's in the semifinals for a competition that's based off of a song. And the song that he wrote, besides being an amazing song, is dedicated to breast cancer survivors, or people that are going through a breast cancer journey. And it's very close and personal to him because that's, how he lost both his mom and his aunt. And so I promoted that, not because I'm going to get anything out of it, not so that Willie can cut me a check, not because, it's like, ooh, I got to keep mine, all clear and, only market my own stuff. No, I just purely promoted, hey, go here. And you can click on that same post and you can go to the Hitmaker promotion right now, top Hitmakers promotion right now, and you can vote for Willie and get him into the finals. That would be awesome. The vote's free. If you want to do more than one vote, you can pay and pay for votes too. And those are the kind of things that you do. And people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And when you pour that in, then you really truly have made a friend on Facebook. Not just we're friends, but a truly real friend. Right? And then if you want to take this to the next level, you can actually find 5 groups, just 5. I mean, you can go to 15, which is what, again, if you were full-time doing this, I would tell you to do. But just 5. Find 5 groups that are people that are just like you. They're your people. They're into the same kind of things you're into. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's cooking, if it's raising kids, if it's rock music, whatever, doesn't matter. You want to know where your people are. Okay, because we're creating real friendship, real connection. You want to go into that group. You want to make comments and or posts that are of value, that are increasing that group. Have nothing to do with shameless self-promotion. Doesn't have anything to do with who you are. Okay? Totally just about promoting that group and connecting with the people in that group. And as you begin to see the people that are also connecting in that group, that's the perfect place to find the 5 people that you're going to every single day. Now you could take, if it's a big group, you give 5 today and then 5 tomorrow. But even if you just took just 5 people and only just those 5, and those 5 are the 5 you're going to invest yourself in getting to know. Yes, invest in them first, Patricia. That's absolutely right. You'll know the 5 because they'll be the people that are, it's not somebody's bot or somebody's assistant that's coming in going, great post, dude, but they're actually really adding value into that. And those are the people that are your people because they're in the same exact kind of things you're into. And you're going to go then to their personal profile and you're going to comment on the stuff they're doing. Again, you're going to just add value. You're going to invest in them. I love that phrase, Patricia. With no thought of what's in it for you. Now, I can tell you algorithmically, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, any of the social medias, when you do that, it increases your visibility with them. But I'm encouraging you, don't do it so that, your post gets more likes and follows. Do it because if you're going to be on social media, really connect. Do it because then when you share your messy middle, when you bring the light another step forward and you say, hey, I want to share with you something that I haven't ever talked to anybody about before. When you put yourself in that vulnerable place, you then have a friends list. Seth Godin once said in one of his books, he actually says, better to have 100 raving fans than 10,000 people who could care less. If you had 5 people, we boiled this down to 5, okay? If you had 5 people that knew you were there and had their back, and that were exactly like you, and have gone through exactly the same things you have, when you take that tiny little step forward and you shine the light just a little deeper into your darkness, they're going to be totally there, supporting you, catching you when you pass out because you can't believe that you said it, on your side 100%. And that's connection. Because what's our 3 C's? Clarity, consistency, connection. So what did we cover today? Because sometimes I think it might feel a little random, but it really isn't. Okay? We covered clarity. Yes, you need to be clear about who you are. You're going to go in and you're going to find a group of people that are just like you. How are you going to do that if you're not clear about who you are? We covered consistency because we're talking about, those 5 basic messages, or the advanced version, 5 groups that you're messaging in, and then also 5 people. So that would be 10 messages, okay? I know I just doubled your workload, all right? That would be your consistency. So you take that clear you and the clear want to encourage and promote them, want to make a connection with them, which brings me to the third, and that's connection. Clarity, consistency creates connection. Truly wanting to connect clearly, when you do it consistently, works. It's a circle. All 3 of those just tie together constantly like this to make that strong fist that allows you to have the power punch of grace and mercy and peace, to be the beacon of light that you are meant to, and only you can be in the life of the person you're meant to serve. So if you're ready to be truly seen in your messy middle, if you're ready to do the things that only you can do, if you're ready to truly, consistently, clearly connect, then drop the word seen. And if you're scared to be seen that live and visibly, then DM me the word seen. But let me know. Yeah, simplest, most effective sales method ever. And yeah, sales will come from that. And if you do it without ever even worrying about or thinking about how am I going to make sales, and you really, truly, just genuinely, honestly connect with the person and you want to and do care about them, you'll never want for anything. Zig Ziglar's statement that is just as powerful and just as real as it was the day he said it the first time, or the 1,000 times he said it since, because he's no longer with us. If you help enough people get what they want, you'll never want for anything. And I don't know if I heard him say this or if I added it myself, but if the only person you're concerned about, if the only person's wants you're concerned about is yours, you'll always be wanting. Be consistently clear today that you want to connect with people right there in all of our messy middle together. That strong bond, that magnetic coming together of fingers intertwining. And let's make the difference in this world that we can make together. You're welcome to come join us in the Visibility Amplifier community, visibilityamplifier.com. If you need clarity, drop the word clarity, drop the word seen. I'm here to help you. Know that I'm here in this messy middle right with you, in all of my mess and stuff too. I've got your back. I celebrate you. You're amazing. I'm here for you. And until we're together again next time, I hope you have a great week.